morning at 9. Is it possible?
No. What I'm saying is, hello?
Yes, hello?
What I'm saying, originally, Alan, myself, and Alex were supposed to have this meeting with you people. Then Robert also requested to be in, but then Robert has had a similar, had another engagement in the same time. He thought he would dodge that engagement, but then I think it was on his neck, and so he couldn't dodge it in favor of this one that he wanted to be in. But he's suggesting that if we do the recording, if it is possible for us to do the recording, then he can watch, he can listen to it, and maybe he can give his opinion after. So I was just asking whether it is possible for you people to do a recording and then you share with us.
Fantastic.
Is it?
We are recording already. We are recording.
Oh, that is important. Then we can stay online as I confirm with Alan to be on to get on the line. Alex is going to be with us, although he might be a little bit passive, but he will be on the line. Let me first confirm with Alan to join us.
Cool, no problem.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes. Hello? I can hear you.
Alan is joining us shortly.
Okay, fantastic. Once he joins, then we start.
Yeah, no problem.
demo of actionTEAM GRC. I would like to know if you have any expectations. We begin with that. I'm called Mustafa Mugisa and I'm a team leader at Summit Consulting, and on the call I'm with Enoch Okun, one of our developers, and he can say hi, and also Ojulong Ronald.
Mustafa.
Yes.
Sorry, I think Alan is not yet on with us. Alan Munabi from NSSF. I think
I see there is Alan Aliyo. I see somebody.
He's not the one. I think that one is from your side.
I'm the one who's saying.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Okay, we
Alan
can
is
start.
on.
Okay, we can start.
Okay, so Ojulong, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You bless this meeting. Just short prayer, then we do the demo. It is always very important. In our motto, we say for God and my country.
Okay, let us pray. Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for today's gift of friends that we have in this meeting, in this call. Thank you for NSSF Uganda. And Lord, we pray that as we go into this meeting, that you may come into our midst, that may it be fruitful for the good of our companies, for the good of Summit Consulting, for the good of NSSF, but also for the glory of all that we do for our country, O Lord. Bless us in the discussion that we're going to have with your Holy Spirit. Give us the wisdom and understanding. I ask this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
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 Thank you very much. Always very important, although they say it is good also to do universal prayer. So just like any system, this system deployment is you cannot have a username and password unless you are already pre-created in the system. You cannot self-register. So once you are pre-created, already created by maybe HR, or when we come to set up, we get a list from human resource. Human resource will give us the portal to access the system, and then they are created, or any admin or anybody can create these users. The way we deploy the system, we begin with assess, and then change, and then implement. Under assessment, we understand your strategy, do desktop review, interact with the top people who are going to use the system, and then we summarize it into a document we call user requirements document. And based on that one, we customize the system to deliver what exactly you need. So once the user has been created, of course, they will log in just like another system. And of course, the opening depends on the speed of the internet. So once you log in, this is a page which will come. So by default, of course, this is the page which is coming. You are logged in, and then this will be your name as a user. And then you have the number of scorecards. You can have a dashboard depending on what you need, in terms of scorecard, in terms of work plan, in terms of anything which you want to see and monitor. The activity status, because the system combines three things. That is the governance, risk, and compliance. So we can also always customize this dashboard to show you what you would like to see. In this case, it is showing you, for example, a logged in user, but then you can always change, remove this one and put the dashboard which you might need. And then once you log in, the beginning point is to start with the settings, where you have settings for strategy, adding new users, governance, and risk. Under users, obviously you add the name of the user, then you include their email, and then you put their phone number, and then of course these kind of details of the gender, blah blah blah. Why you put the email is every time they have notification, and in this notification it will come on their email, but also you can also see notification on your when you log in as a user, it will be being visible there. So once you create the user, then you have that user in the system. You can go and set up governance. And under governance, you can add the things like departments in your organization. And of course, you select the person responsible. You can add the roles in your department. And then of course, under those roles, of course, this depends on the internet speed. You add the roles depending on the roles are what the people will do in the system. That is user role privileges. You tell us what a given to do. If somebody is an admin, then they can see everything. If somebody is just a user, they can only see users. So we will edit those permissions depending on what you want them to see. And then of course, positions. So basically it enforces the access based on need. Once you finish also, even you'll add the strategy settings. Under strategy settings, I'm just going to show you the area of, for example, frequencies of monitoring certain indicators. You can say you are going to monitor certain things monthly, daily, weekly, and then the indicators which you will use to monitor your strategy. In this case, you can say amount of collections per annum. So you put Uganda shillings. It could be a percentage in terms of staff turnover rate. In that case, that is percentage. It could be in whichever unit of measurement you use in your scorecard. Because we have made a system which is mapped to the balance scorecard, it will be added there and it becomes very easier. So once you finish all the settings, you go to strategy to add your strategy. Under strategy, of course, you first input the what we call focus area. Other people call it a goal. Others call it a strategic objective. Whatever name you have, you just put it there. So in this case, for example, it can be focus on membership compliance. That is, you are looking at members complying in terms at NSSF, or you can put it in terms of membership, monthly membership, collections, management. That is one of the pillars you may have. The system has, of course, self-editing language. You can edit. Then you can say which department, maybe this is the Department of Finance. In case you wanted another department, you could have added another department of membership in the settings. For example, let me just be under governance, there where we had governance. You could have added it, and then that option will appear. So if I go to department, if I say memberships, if this is, for example, the person responsible, once it adds, then you can now maybe see it. I hope it is not yet. I have to refresh so that you can see it. So memberships will come. So once membership has come, of course, you put there, you say increase membership compliance, and thereafter collections of savings. So of course you can write what is already in your strategy, and then of course you'll save it. So the advantage with this is it already makes sure that focus areas and also goals, whichever you do, is clearly captured. Anybody can log in and find it somewhere. So once you add in a focus area, then now you cascade it to the scorecard. So for each focus area, you must have a scorecard. So the question is going to be, what is going to be, for example, what is the first target under that, or a strategic objective? So in this case, we said membership collections management. So they ask you which scorecard area is membership collections. Maybe this is the customer stakeholder focus. Then we said, what is the target? So you said increase membership numbers, or increase savings collections from members. Whichever you want, you can always add it under this. So the advantage is that you can add as many scorecard targets under one focus area, so that it is easier. So in this case, you can say you'll benchmark it or track. In this case, you can only track because it is an internal metric. You can set a priority. Is this priority to NSSF, or it is not a priority? So you can say, this is a very high priority because a fund is all about this. Then to ask you, what is the indicator to show you whether you are improving or not improving? The indicator will be Uganda shillings. If it was increased number of members, it would be number. In this case, you would choose a number. But in this case, we said increase savings collection, so you measure them in shillings. If you measure them in your reporting currency USD, you put USD. The system will always convert this the money into a reporting currency of your choice. So once that has been done, you can put a measure. So you can say amount collected. That's how you'll measure it. Usually this is about to, if you put percentage, then you will say maybe amount collected divided by total possible amount to be collected. But since this is an absolute number, you can just put amount collected. And then here you put monthly monitoring. Do you want to monitor this daily, weekly, or monthly? You can choose maybe monthly, depending on how you want to be monitoring membership growth. If you think it is critical, you can reduce the frequency and say you will monitor it weekly. So this depends basically on your choice. Then of course you choose department is memberships. You choose the person responsible. You can choose maybe Jacqueline, and then in the duration it is going to be recurrent. And then you save. So that becomes one of the targets. So for all the people, you can see the system will solve your problems. All the people in NSSF automatically now will have a target they are assigned to. And then of course now it is asking you the baseline. Last year, how much did you collect from members? So if you say maybe 1 trillion, you can put 1 trillion. If just for example, if I put 800, maybe I can put to 10 million. As you write, the money comes. Then it means if that is the baseline, what is your projection? So you can say you want to collect this 1.5. Then here you want to collect 2 million. 20. In this case, in 2022, you want it to increase to 25. So you can keep adding the targets accordingly. Maybe you want this to be 26. So you add. Remember, these are the targets already in your strategy. What we are doing here to make it automated in the system to aid the performance management and monitoring. So as you can see that once the target has been, once it has been added, you will see increased savings collection from members. And then you can click to see everything, the person responsible. So anytime, if people are complaining, what does Jackie do when they come to work? You just go to her account. She will extract all the targets for which she's responsible. And this becomes very easier. And every month she's expected to give you a report because her targets are being monitored monthly. If it is every week, then we would have put weekly. If it is every day, then we would have put daily. If performance monitoring is done, depending on what is very important. So the beauty with this, once that has been done, then you go to what we call work plans. So you have to add a work plan to show where the action is going to be. So in this case, you cannot have a work plan unless there is an objective for which it addresses. In this case, it is increased membership collections, which we wrote. Then it will ask you to enter an activity. What will you do? For example, you can say list of all generate list of all possible savers under NSSF Act. So once you have that list, then you can say study the NSSF law and identify list of all potential savers so as to approach them for compliance. And then it will say select status. Is this pending? Is it overdue? Is it on hold? You can say it is overdue because that is a very critical activity. Before you do anything, you want it to be in place. What is the start date? You can put the start date. Maybe you can say it will begin tomorrow and the end date will end up next week. You can put it there. What is the KPI which will show that this has been done? You can say the KPI is the list of NSSF of savers basically should be in place. Desired outcome, increased compliance and collections. That is desired outcome. And that is now it will lead to your scorecard targets of the money we indicated how much you want to collect. Does it require any cost to generate? Maybe it requires 50,000 to generate that list, you can write. Does it require an ongoing cost? No, this is one-off cost, nothing. Which department is responsible is membership. And who is going to be responsible? Maybe Simon. So already you have seen in this, we had a person different in terms of the focus area, the director. Another person in charge of the objective is different. And for each activity, you can even have another person to do it. So that already increases the inter-organizational collaboration. And that is the spirit of the tool to make sure that you consolidate all the information. So once you do that, as you can see, you can go to your performance management system. And in that performance management system, you are able to, for example, if you selected any of the activities you have generated, the staff, depending on the frequency of monitoring, will be able to add the actual. For example, if I say generate, it will automatically brings you a scorecard dashboard of how this is performing. It shows the person responsible, the monitoring indicator, and the status is overdue. And now you expect, depending on the month you are on, the accumulative to be in green. If it is red, meaning that they have not added anything. So they are like saying they have not done anything on that target. It is a bad sign that they are not performing. So you can begin giving them notifications and all these warnings. So basically for each of the scorecard area, for each of the activities, you will be able to click and see who is doing good work or who is not doing any work. And this applies to whether something is qualitative or quantitative. So that is part of the tool in terms of governance. Any questions, members, before we proceed to the risk module? Back to you.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Alan, I can hear you.
I think you proceed up to the end. The risk module is the last one?
I'm going to go to the risk module now.
Is there a module after that one?
There is another module, but it may be not necessarily now, the collaboration module for meetings management.
Okay, so maybe we'll ask after the risk module.
Cool, Kali, thank you. So once you see this system has been aligned to what we call ISO CERT 1000 of 2018. So ISO CERT 1000 2018 you defines risk as impact of uncertainty on organization objectives. So this means that if there is no objective at risk, you cannot assess risk. And when we go to many organizations, you find they are doing risk management. They are assessing it, but they are not anchoring any assessment on objectives at risk. So the system also is intended to cause any user or an organization to do things in the right way. So of course, the beginning point and module you come to add a new risk. So it will ask you what is the objective at risk, meaning that if you don't have an objective in the organization, that risk assessment apply with ISO. In this case, you will choose one of the objective at risk is increase collections from members. So the question is, what is the risk thereafter? What is the risk event which could affect that to comply? For example, you can say the risk which could cause the failure to comply would be poor record keeping. And then it will say enter root cause, poor record keeping and data analytics at the fund. What could cause that one? Maybe lack of funding for a proper filing system of members and details, both digital and manual. So select impact of that event. The impact is, you can say it is critical or catastrophic, because if you can't collect from members, that could cause the fund to not grow. And what is the likelihood? The likelihood is high. In this case, it is possible. Maybe it is likely or almost certain. And then it will ask you who is the risk owner. You can choose the risk owner. Remember, this list comes from the list you have generated already in the system, as I showed you at the beginning. And then you can, of course, choose a file in case you want to attach to justify that risk. You can select and add a file, otherwise you will save. So once you add it, it will bring you to the option of add the control poor record keeping and data analytics at the fund. So the control, because at the end of the day, we have put what we call a risk and control system. So you can say the control is staff training in record keeping and analytics. And then they will say select strategy. In this case, it is, for example, treat, because you can manage risk in 4 ways according to the ISO at 1000. Either you can tolerate, you can treat, you can terminate, or you can transfer. In this case, that is a treatment strategy. What is the impact after the control? In this case, it will be moderate. What is the likelihood after the control? It will be maybe possible, or maybe it will be unlikely. And then what is the risk response description? That trained staff are able to improve overall organizational efficiency. Remember, now for this module, it requires the risk champions to keep training people on how to complete this. And that's why the ongoing training within the risk department for the entire team is very important. Then of course you will save. Now you can see the system will give you the risk which was generated. I don't know, yes, the risk, I think I saved twice. The risk which was generated, it will give it to you. And then it will tell you poor control, keeping and data analytics at the fund. And in case in this case, you say initially the new risk score is 6 after the control, and the risk appetite is 8. So when somebody added when we choose in that objective of membership collection, when we choose priority, it automatically brought the risk appetite as high, as low. That's why you see 8. And in case it is still above, you can see this is below the risk appetite, so there's no problem. If it was still above, then you can keep adding that risk indicator until you reduce the risk to the low levels which are acceptable. So that is all about risk management. Once you finish that one, you can go to your dashboard to generate any report you need. You can generate the reports, of course, to show you the risks which are registered, their severity on average, the control effectiveness. You can see here, this is the risk poor record keeping at the fund. It shows you that. This is what we call a risk map, a risk heat map. But also when you finish the control, you can see impact after control. So generally, you are able to justify budget to show that if we don't do something about this risk, take people to be trained, we are accepting the risk to be high. Otherwise, if you take them to be trained, the risk will be reducing to this. So it is up to them to say yes or no. So as you know, any system these things will look good when the data is too much in the system. Currently, we have put few risks. So you can see the risk, you can be able to see it, and you can find everything about that particular risk and who is responsible and everything. So that's how the risk module does. We kept it simple to make sure that it is not as complicated. But also, as we told you, our system is to enable the client optimize their investment. So if you need any future or your specific requirements within the risk management framework, we are able to modify and customize it for you to meet your needs. Thank you very much. I beg to submit, we can take some questions since it is 4:30. So back to you, Alan and Hussein.
Hussein, please go first.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, for the presentation. Maybe I'll take it offline with Alan, but Alan, I would think it is probably an improved version of the HCIS that we used to track the balance scorecard. Maybe I'll take it offline with you. But I like the way, Mustafa, you've done the presentation. However, my question is, do I have to insert this annually? For example, if I'm doing an evaluation of performance, if I have a 10-year strategy like we have at the fund, can I just do it once and then what do I have to keep altering? Is it possible that I can do once, or it is in a way that I have to do it periodically, like say annually? Maybe you can respond to that.
Thank you very much. For the strategy, when we come to set it up, we will get your strategy and map it for you. What will be now ongoing update will be the actual performance results for you to be able to use the performance management system. As you saw, for example, yes, continue.
And maybe the other thing is that somewhere at the very beginning, you said that some individuals can be given the right just to have visibility. Yeah? But then at the fund, we are over 600 employees, and now we use a similar system to do evaluation. Now, if it means that every one of us should have rights to input data, what does that mean really to the fund? And then secondly, you might find that we have several departments, in which case we try as much as possible to cascade the topmost balance scorecard to the very top, I mean, to the very extreme guy down at the bottom. So in a way, we might have quite a number of measures, but then probably aligning or pointing towards one common goal that is at the top. So in one way or the other, can we also ensure cascading with this very system? Given that
can I show you something quickly?
Given that different people will have different measures, but then pointing at the same objective.
So can I show you? You see this focus area? You can see this focus area on my screen.
Yes.
So in this case, maybe a director is in charge of this at high level. Are we together? So now at that level, then it is broken down into scorecards for the direct reports, the various managers. So you'll find that this can take like 5 managers of the fund, whereas the focus area was one director. Now the managers who report to him to speak to the same thing.
Now below that
targets,
guy,
which are like objectives.
Now
they are
below
work
that
plans.
guy will be a provision.
Work plans. Below that guy, he has to do a work plan on how they will achieve, because these are the front line. They are showing you what they are going to do.
So does that mean that it will end at that guy that is near? I mean, how many layers are there? Can it accommodate more than 2 layers?
This is why I told you at the beginning that when we come in, we understand your structure and do a document user requirements analysis document, and then we customize the levels depending on what you need, because already in the settings we have provided for these levels. Now, if you come to the governance settings, we have provided for these levels, whereby if you look, we put positions and the level. So you put a position in name, say, in this case, director membership, and then you put a level. Maybe these are level 4. We begin with level 0, meaning the shareholder or fund manager, fund owner. Then level 1, the board. Level 2, directors. Level 3, managers. Level 4, blah, blah, blah. So we can keep adding these levels. Now, if I choose this is level 4 or level 5, I will save it. You get? So I can now keep mapping all your levels. Once I map your levels, then I will bring them to the targets you have set.
Okay.
So we can cascade to any level you want, basically. And if you say you want to stop at managers, to stop at managers. So this is why we cascade it from. And also the first question you asked of, I think I have forgotten, but I think I spoke to it. So you realize that we were developing a system from experience, helping organizations craft their own strategies. And then we find the execution is very difficult. And why is it difficult? It is because of tracking and cascading.
Okay, let Alan go. Maybe as time goes and I'll also get in.
Yes, Alan?
Thank you, Hussein. Hussein has asked some of the things I had to ask, but let me just run through mine. Huh? Maybe you note them down and you'll answer them at once. The first one is on the sources of data. The example you have showed us has somebody capturing, which is fine when you have a few things, but if you have a lot of things, then probably that's going to come from a database somewhere. You have not talked about the connectivity you have. We run all around, so maybe you would talk from that perspective. Two, there is data which comes from, which is generated manually. So spreadsheets somewhere, it's in Word documents somewhere, or it's on an offline system somewhere, and all that would need to be aggregated somewhere and then be presented by this tool which you are saying. So just talk as well in terms of such type of data.
Thank you.
The second one was she mentioned the need to have an aggregated scorecard, but also the breakdown of all the scorecards contributing to that scorecard. From what I see, you are handling this by objective area, something like that. Do you also have a provision to handle it by the entire scorecard? Which means if a scorecard has 10 objectives and it's my boss's scorecard and my scorecard is below his, then my 9 or 10 or 11 maybe objectives should be related, and that relationship should be picked up by the tool which you are presenting to us. Also, is there a way to have sort of when I click somewhere where somewhere is not performing well, if I tap it, I can see all the different people who are contributing to that single element and how each of them has contributed. Those who have not contributed well and those who have contributed well, and their weights of their contributions to that objective. The third one, input of data. You have showed us that input of data, really someone has to come and type and things like that. Hussein had brought it up where he was asking about now the rights. Who gets to put in data and why? And what's the most efficient way, according to you, of how data will be entered into your system? 4, when you talk about objectives and work plans, I seem to get the sense that you are kind of suggesting 2 levels of operations, maybe a strategic level and an operational level, and in the same entry, you're allocating this to different people. So you have your objective area being handled by one person, and then you have in the work plan, which you are saying that the work plan can easily be distributed to somebody else. Now we have objectives, and then we also have objective measures or metrics to measure the objective, or what other people call KPIs. Now, given your understanding of your tool, explain it to us in relation to the objectives, the measures for the objective, and then the activities or the actions or what you're calling the work plan. Give us a clear explanation, because I got lost when you came to the work plan and you allocated it to somebody else. I got lost there. Then the next one is, hold on, my phone is blown up. Okay, the next one is really the memory of the data, whether it will be sitting whether the reports, if you run a report now and then you run a report next month, will you have the memory of saying, okay, that this report looked like this last month, something like that, in simple terms. Then lastly is just to give us a guide on the back end of your tool, what the structure of the data which your tool accepts. Maybe you'll explain this in line with when you're talking about the data sources up there. I'll get a picture from your explanation there. So that is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. You have asked many questions. Let me answer them one by one. The first question was the sources of data, somebody capturing the data manually, or it can connect somewhere. So there is data which you can import directly into the system. I want you to know there are two types of systems. There is a governance system like this one, and then there is ERP systems like what you would say the fund management system you might have, the HR system, blah, 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 blah. So for a functional system like ERP, it is easier to import a given data from Excel and put it into your database, because it can have some defined fields. The problem occurs especially here when I'm giving, for example, entering an activity, and then maybe the data requires a case-by-case entering. For one of the banks, we have been able to write an API and automatically import their current Excel sheet, risk register in Excel, and automatically import so many fields into the system. But now what we did was to align the database structure within the system and the Excel data field of their what they have in manual. So that one is okay. We can always write an API to automate a lot of data input, especially at the start, to make the life very easier. Also, we have capability to add this system via application programming interface to your any other existing system, and add here an intelligent engine for analytics, which we call business intelligence and data analytics enterprise. That is a Summit tool which we have created to basically do data analytics and visualization and give you insights on your data. So if you say you will read also data analytics, we usually add it on a case by case because it needs a read only to your other third-party application. If you have an existing human resource management system, instead of writing the users one by one, we can create an API to pick the data fields of what we need for the system to operate. And that one will be solved, so you don't have to put data. I hope that question on data entry has been explained. Is it okay?
Hello.
I just want this to be interactive since it is question and answer.
So what you're saying is that if we need the functionality to connect the databases and the manual Excel sheets and the other sources of data, you can easily program an addendum to this, which will be able to pick that data, and then it will be presented by your tool. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 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 yes. Then to cascading, they need to have cascaded scorecard by the entire scope. So usually what we have done is to remove unnecessary redundancies in the business of scorecards. This is why we are saying the business will only have select few focus areas, or which other people call goals or strategic objectives. It doesn't matter how you call it, others call it pillars. So as long as you are in NSSF, it will have maybe 5 to 10 key areas of focus within a planning period in the next 10 years. Maybe it is automation, maybe it is member management and efficiency, maybe it is compliance. You will have these key areas and they will be defined. So once those are defined, the next thing is how will you measure each of those areas? And that's where the scorecard comes in. So it doesn't matter whether the person is at director or the person is at in the front line, as long as it is a specific measurable indicator which follows the FLIC, financial focus, learning and growth, internal business process, or customer focus, and then of course also aligned to your focus area. It doesn't matter. You will create as many scorecards you have, and you will put them there and put the person who is responsible. So once that has been done, the next thing is, if you have given me the target, what do I need to do to achieve them? So remember, the work plan is usually short-term to make sure that for each indicated scorecard, there must be a series of activities to be done. So that is the process we have seen of cascading. Any other process you might need, because we have implemented it in financial institutions, and you find that maybe some of the things we are doing was duplication, the things are not clear, the scorecard are like not reinforcing each other, they are like duplicated. So you write one, the most important thing is who is responsible for this scorecard, and then you give them. So you'll find technically that a senior person has a scorecard, for example, generate revenue, which is 10 million. A junior person has a percentage of that revenue. For example, they will generate 2 million. So when you add the distributed to others, it goes to the top of the person who was having the overall big target. And that solves a lot of problems, and it makes even a clarity of reporting and alignment. And then, of course, finally, the work plans are what you're going to do to achieve that. So you, regardless, all the stuff in NSSF, because they have access, they are expected, as long as you have been assigned an objective or you fall under given objective, you are expected to provide the work plan to achieve it. So once you provide that work plan, then that's when the performance management system kicks in. So that's how we have set it. Again, this is not cast in stone, because we have capabilities. We are developing the solution here after seeing people buying systems from abroad. And then, of course, they come, you find the cost of maintenance is expensive. You have to bring an expert here, and it doesn't really give you long-term sustainable value creation. So that's why we have developed a system whereby you can, when we sit with you and we understand your specific need, we add it there to meet your specific need. For example, some of the banks we have done for this solution, they have told us something completely different than what we had included initially. And it works for them because that's how they report to the group. And we are willing to do that. And we do this at no additional cost, as long as we have done the fee for implementation. So we can always do what you need if we understand it very well and it is documented and it is signed off and agreed. So is there a way to have to show who is not performing? Yes, of course, the performance management system is supposed to do that, because remember, everybody will have to write a work plan and put targets up to a scorecard. So based on their completion of the scorecard, you will be able to, you can sort and be able to see people who are contributing and not contributing. And also, as you mentioned, we can add that the weights based on their work. And this is why in the scorecard we have put priority. And once I put priority, so I know which one is most important and which one is not important. And then when we put the weights, it can show you the person to that particular target. So that is something which you'll see. Remember, every person who logs in will see a dashboard depending on levels you have told us. The CEO can see everything in the system, whereas a person in compliance can only see things in the compliance. We did take you through the compliance module. We have another meeting at 5, unfortunately. But we would be happy to do that. And then the other question you asked was input data rights. Who sets the data rights in the system? Obviously, you tell us and set the rights for the users. So you're going to say for the for people in this department, they will be inputting only about risk, nothing else. So we will set the rights which you tell us. And then the other was the objective plus work plan. It seems there are 2 different levels. Yes, the biggest challenge with the strategy is the implementation. So the system is more about implementation other than strategic planning per se. Because the strategy is already set, we are only including in the system what has been set. So the main focus is on its execution. This is why many people like the system, because of its ability to capture work plans, which are like mini projects, and then you can implement them. And then finally is the memory of the data, the ability of the system to remember. Usually what we do is that when we are documenting the system user requirements documentation, we are able to map the different users and the reports they might need. And then we will put these reports in a default in the system as templates. So when that particular user who told us the reports they will need, they will find the default reports there. And we have not put intelligence in the system to remember the reports you did. However, in our data analytics system, it is dynamic. So you can always get those kind of reports. And also on the dashboard, it is dynamic. You can always get that information. But for exporting reports in PDF, in Excel, the template had to be created first in the system. And then finally, back end of your tool, the structure of your data. I wouldn't like you to worry about this because to see the structure of our data, it is a database, just like any system, it is a system which uses a database, and these are the common databases. So that shouldn't be an issue, only that it sits on Linux environment. And our work is mainly from security point of view, so we can always assure you of security of the system. But if Enoch is on the call, he can tell you something on the structure. Enoch, are you on the call?
Yes, I am on the call.
Okay.
Good evening, members. Again, my name is Enoch, and I'm the lead developer at Summit. So for the back end, it's using a MySQL database and the Code Igniter framework. That is for the back end. That is if it's Alan, I think, who asked if you have an idea about the two. And then the other things I would want to add, there was a question about memory of data. If you can get reports probably at a certain given period of time, the way they were at a certain time. Yes, there's an option already. You can look at an audit trail, which captures everything at any given point of time, what was happening, what was being edited, and anything. You can look at that. And then for the issue of rights, someone's, I think Hussein said you have about 600 people at the fund. How will the rights permissions be? All that it's as simple as us deciding on the user metrics, how we are going to provide the rights to the people at the fund, whether it's at department level, whether it's at positional level, whether it's at user role level. So you'll find out that even if there are 10,000 people at the fund, it's as simple as just assigning rights. Then for the sources of data, as Mustafa said, it's just all about, if you obviously, probably like an example, if you have 5,000 users, we don't expect anyone to start inputting 5,000 users. Probably from that Oracle database, all you can do is just generate like a CSV file that we can import on this database, and everything aligns. Thank you for now.
Thank you very much, Enoch, and Hussein and Alan. I hope we have tried to answer your questions. I would like us to discuss briefly on the next steps, if you don't mind, and then we can maybe call this meeting off at as soon as possible.
That's fine.
So what do we agree on the next steps from your side?
From our side, you're going to allow us to conference, and then we shall get back to you.
Which date should I follow you up?
This was not supposed to be a meeting to commit anything. This was supposed to be a meeting for you to show us your solution. So we have seen your solution. Allow us to get back to you.
Okay, so I don't need to call you to ask you the progress?
No, we shall get in touch.
Mustafa, maybe
yes.
The other thing is that, okay, I'm not a data scientist, but many times we've seen bigger companies being hacked. I think even the other day, yesterday, I think the American, security, something like that, had been hacked. And even Google, I think, was off for some few minutes, I think like 45 minutes sometime, I think because of security issues. So it is a big deal for you to say you don't need to worry about the back end. I think that is a bigger statement, but well, I think you put it clear. So like Alan said, I think we'll have to conference at our side, and then we'll always communicate and see the way forward.
Yes, why I made that comment is because our work at Summit, our main focus, we are the first company in Uganda to set up a forensic lab, and our main business is cyber security and the ICT security assurance. We do provide the cyber security as a service to some of, at least to 4 financial institutions in Uganda, ongoing monitoring. So even when we are developing applications, one of the team members is in security. Notwithstanding, we know there is no system which is 100% safe. Most of the time of the breaches you see are, of course, human behavior. So that's why when we come from a technology point of view, we can say, yes, we put this into consideration when developing. However, from the human side of the security, which could be the weakest link, that now depends on the cyber hygiene at the fund, which you would assume maybe it is a high level. But thanks very much for picking that up. Since everybody is hackable.
All right.
Got it. Cheers. Bye-bye.